Hi everybody, welcome to another Midas Letter RAW. I've got my co-host today is Nika Domi. Nika, welcome.
And now I'm taking place for Ed. Yeah.
You've just, special head has become special Nika.
There you go.
I know, unbelievable.
One Polish person for another.
Polska or Gorka.
But Ed gets to take some time off, and now I'm here today. So welcome everyone. It's good to see everybody again. And I see some friends in the chat room. Faye, Reefer, Alan. Hello to you guys.
Wow. Look at you go. You just got it going on here. All right. Well, today we have a pretty lean, mean show. Actually, Nika and I are going to spend a lot of time looking at some of the earnings that were announced today and look at some of the comments in the marketplace. And we have one guest today, and that's Allison Gordon from 48North. I had a conversation with her just a short while ago. That will be up soon. But right away, actually not right away, in about 5 minutes, Suzanne Garcia will be here with the news. But let's see, Nika, what are you seeing in the cannabis space today?
Oh my goodness! Actually, today I woke up to a whole bunch of red on my line, on my watch list. Yeah. And one of them was True Leaf, actually, and a lot of people have been talking about them because they took a little bit of a dip today from around $14 all the way down to, I think it was $12.70-ish that they've reached. And I'm not exactly 100% sure. I didn't dig into why, but some people are saying that it might be a share unlock or something like that going on because it looked very unusual.
Well, looking at all of the indexes, we've got a red and green day. The reds are down less than 1%. That's the Midas Letter Large Cap Index and the Midas Letter CSE Index, both down less than 1%, whereas the Canadian Venture Index and the Small Cap Index are both up almost one is 1.06% in the Midas Letter Small Cap, one is up 0.93%. So essentially, really sort of not much happening kind of day. But if we go and look at the Large Cap Index, we can see that the big loser of the day, driving everybody down, is True Leaf, as you pointed out, down 7.02% or 97 cents at this time. Kronos Group down 4% after releasing earnings
And they just
today.
had earnings, yeah.
So that's not a good sign. Afria's lost shed another 3.07%. Cureleaf down 3.1%. The only green in this whole scenario is actually Hexocorp.
Wow.
Has bounced back from a downward trend. They're up 19 cents or 3.27% to $6 a share. Canopy Growth up 1.1% to $43.22, up 47 cents. And Organigram also tacked on 1%, up 8 cents to $7.51 at this hour before the close. So that's the large cap index.
Well, Kronos did actually go up on earnings because they reached, they went just over $20 and then just lost it all.
Really? All today? Intraday. Ooh, that's interesting. I wonder if Kronos' earnings are full of the words adjusted.
Oh,
which we'll have to take a look at. Let's see. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the CSE index here. Down 0.58%, as I suggested. We'll take a look and order the list by who's losing the most. BrainGrid is down to 4 cents. I don't understand exactly how BrainGrid's on the cannabis index. Eviana Health is down 7 cents to 32 cents.
Actually, I think there's somebody here in the chat room. It's ACB versus CGC. Hi, my friend. I think he knows a lot about BrainGrid, so maybe if you want to type it into the chat room and let us know. Oh, he did. BGRD on heavy sale. Do you know why? Let us know. Type it in.
Big winners on the CSE index include Next Leaf Solutions is up 17.53% to 57 cents. Prevceutical the company that everyone loved to hate back from the Bridgewater scandal. Do you remember that, Nika? Did you?
No.
No? Okay. Well, we won't delve into that because that's kind of old news. Iconic brands, just a bunch of small guys tacking on. Willow Biosciences, okay, so there's one of the biosynthetics making some headway today. 95 cents, up 9.20%. Have you been following any of the biosynthetics, Nika?
Nope.
Okay, so the biosynthetics, you know that these are the guys who are going to produce cannabinoids in bioreactors, not from plants.
Which would be something that Kronos is actually interested
Kronos
in? Kronos
has that. Kronos, I think they took over Ginkgo, which is a growing cannabis on yeast, I believe, although I could be wrong.
Organigram was mentioning something. There was news a long time ago. Was it hyacinth or hyacinth?
Oh, yeah,
hyacinth.
Hyacinth, yeah. Hyacinth is growing on yeast.
Okay.
Yeah, and Organigram owns 20% of Hyacinth. We actually had Kevin, I can't remember his last name, was in here. We have to get him back because the whole biosynth sector has gone a little quiet. Nobody's really put out much in the way of announcements. But yeah, so kind of a ho-hum, humdrum kind of day in the cannabis space. Nothing big happening. But in the, let's see, the whole market is actually just really kind of like very mid-August-y in energy today.
Well, we're waiting. A lot of people are waiting for the fall and for the summer to be over. And it's interesting how when you get into the trading and investing, you kind of want the summer to be over, which other people kind of look at us like, what are you talking about? Right?
Yeah, no, I never want the summer to be over.
I know.
But it's interesting. The lots of stuff going on. Elsewhere in the world, the Abatis Pharmaceuticals announced that they were going to be delisting from the Canadian Securities Exchange. I guess things just aren't going to work out for them. Let's take a look at Kronos Group's second quarter news release. That's going to be kind of interesting. Okay, so let us see here. Grams sold. Okay, $3.01 is the average price per gram sold. A cost of sales before fair, cost of sales per gram sold. So $3.01 is their cost of production, or I guess cost of sales, we'll leave it there. $3.01, that strikes me as quite high. Adjusted EBITDA of a $17.7 million loss. That's up from a loss of, or rather down further from a loss of $2.3 million at the end of the 3-month period ended the second quarter 2018. So that's not the best. Let's see, revenue, $10.2 million, up from $3.4 million, we'll round it off to, in the same period in 2018. So that's not so bad, but except for the huge loss. So the more, it's always disconcerting when you see the more money the company makes, the more they lose. And a lot of companies are still having a hard time getting to profitability and using creative means to do so. So we won't bother.
I guess growing costs.
Well, a lot of the companies have invested a lot of the capital that they've raised through equity and debt. And unfortunately, that's going to show up as a loss until the company turns it into something profitable. But we'll see. That's interesting. Let's let Suzanne Garcia tell us about the news.
And here's what's making cannabis news today. Kronos Group announced financial results for the second quarter and first half ending June 30th, 2019. Kronos Group's net income was $250 million, positively affected by a $263.9 million gain on the reevaluation of derivative liabilities. Its Q2 revenue was $10.2 million, with an adjusted EBITDA loss of $17.7 million for the 3 months ending June 30th, 2019. Extract sales made up 20% of net product revenue. Cash at the end of the period was $1.6 billion. Chiron Life Sciences announced today that its wholly owned clinic network, the Latin American Institute of Neurology and the Nervous System, has partnered with leading Colombian insurance company EPS Sura to launch a 4-month pilot program. The program will provide medical services to an initial group of 450 patients. The pilot program, now in progress, represents the first step towards an integrated healthcare system for priority neurological pathologies, including convulsive syndrome. The launch of the pilot program will leverage both parties' resources to enhance patient access to integrated healthcare management models, advancing Chiron's continued mission to provide effective healthcare options to a population of 620 million in Latin America. C21 Investments announced unaudited financial results for the 3 months period ending July 31st, 2019. The Q2 financial statements and MD&A will be released by September 12, 2019. Unaudited revenue grew 27% to $9.8 million from $7.7 million in Q1. Canopy Growth has partnered with one of the largest global sellers of cannabis accessories, Green Lane Holdings. The partnership gives Green Lane exclusive distribution rights of Storz & Bickel vaporizers throughout the United States. Storz & Bickel, a subsidiary of Canopy Growth based in Germany, has a 22-year history as the global leader in vaporizer designs. Green Lane has been Storz & Bickel's exclusive U.S. distribution partner since January 2018, and the new agreement signed with Canopy Growth will allow for growth in the American market along with continued distribution to the Canadian market. Spectrum Therapeutics, the medical division of Canopy Growth, has entered into a 5-year service agreement with Medical Pharmacies Group. Medical Pharmacies Group is Canada's largest specialty pharmacies that service residents in long-term care, retirement homes, and other settings. Spectrum Therapeutics will be the preferred medical cannabis education partner to medical pharmacies and the seniors it serves in over 500 residences and care facilities. Charlotte Web Holdings announced expansion plans underway in 2019, including cultivation, production, distribution, and R&D to support its forecasted sales growth. Most recent expansion initiatives include a building lease signed on a newly constructed 136,000 square foot industrial building located in Colorado. The new location enables the company to prepare for production, distribution, and R&D expansion to meet increasing demand from the consumer and national retailer channels. Choom Holdings announced that an Alberta provincially approved cannabis retail licensee is opening a cannabis retail store in Medicine Hat, Alberta, operating under the Choom brand. The Choom branded store is set to open on Saturday, August 10th. Choom has entered into a purchase agreement with the licensee, where Choom will acquire the Medicine Hat store. Fire and Flower Holdings has received 2 additional cannabis retail store licenses from the Alberta Gaming, Liquor and Cannabis Commission. The company anticipates these stores to be open and selling cannabis during the week of August 26. Rapid Dose Therapeutics has signed a manufacturing agreement with Thrive Cannabis to produce quick strip cannabis products for both the Canadian medical and recreational markets. Rapid Dose's proprietary quick strip technology is a smoke-free, sublingual, fast-dissolving drug delivery system that offers an anytime, anywhere product for medical and recreational consumers. Tilray has received approval from the U.S. government and successfully imported an initial shipment of medical CBDs into the U.S. to support 2 clinical trials led by NYU School of Medicine. The 2 studies will test the efficacy of CBD to treat patients suffering from alcohol use disorder and PTSD. Tilray has provided a GMP-certified CBD formulation in capsule forms for the studies. And that's your news for today. If you want to hear more on the weed stock sector, check out Cannabis Daily at MidasLetter.com.
Wow. Lots of news. Interesting looking the C21 Investments. That's intriguing to me. Unaudited revenue grew 27% to $9.8 million. They haven't even been around that long, have they?
Very interesting. No, they haven't.
Do you have investments in C21?
I do.
You do?
Yes, I do. Interesting,
there
isn't it?
we go. So we have to speak nicely about them.
Well, you know what? I don't have a lot, so it's fine. But a lot of people have been actually comparing their revenue with Chronos because it's like, here's a stock that has its 80 cents around 80 cents, and then Chronos is about $18, and about the same kind of a revenue this quarter.
Jeez.
So,
well, maybe there'll be a migration of capital away from Chronos,
a bit of a balancing.
You know, it's funny. Some of the large caps are becoming less attractive, I think, and certainly if we were to look at Acreage as an example, and I'm going to put up a chart of that. Well, actually, how do I just use this one?
Acreage.
Right. So there's Acreage's chart, and look at that, $11. Now, this thing IPO'd at $25 back in
last fall. About
and I remember I actually had an order in for I think $1 million worth at $21, and they came back and said, well, we decided we're going to change the price. We're going to raise the price and raise a lot more money. I looked at the new terms, and it was like $25, and they were going to go for up to $500 million. They hit the goalpost in the big way. I think they only closed on $200 or $300 million, but at $25, that was too much for me. I said, no, there's no way. I'm going $4, like almost 20% higher in price. Why would I do that? And here's the lesson being learned here. And this was actually when everybody got very excited about Canopy buying Acreage. I looked at the terms and I thought, well, that's not very good because it really doesn't kick in until the federal deprohibition happens. And who knows when that's going to happen. Although Bernie Sanders did come out today and said that if elected, he was going to make cannabis legal by executive order.
Very well, and that's what's needed.
Well, I thought that would be great. If anybody else had said it, it would be like, oh my gosh, but it was Bernie Sanders. The chances of him getting elected are slim to none.
I know.
I mean, he's got such a small audience. Now, and my other great fear is that Donald Trump's going to go, hey, that's a great idea, actually. I think I'll do that. And I've always said that if Donald Trump wanted to, he could just go with the executive order, damn the torpedoes, that's his style. So that could happen before the next election.
He's been positive. I've never heard Trump say anything negative about cannabis, especially a few months back. I remember he was saying something about it. So it needs to hurry up, though. It really does, because a lot of the companies are kind of stuck in, and the Banking Act, I'm not sure where that ended up. Did you maybe know what the result there was? I know there was the hearings last week or a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
so
I think
things are moving, but they're not moving fast enough.
It's moving forward, but exactly, not at any sort of record pace.
Yeah.
But, you know, we'll see what happens. I mean, I think the closer we get to the election next year, is it next year, that I think the more people you're going to see pulling out sort of cannabis support platforms, because it is
They'll have no choice,
Well, and it's like, well, why wouldn't you? It's like...
it gets a majority. Actually, the majority, statistics say majority of the people in the U.S. are in favor. And the majority is, like, I think it was over 60% in favor of the medical, and also a big support for the recreational everywhere. So...
Yeah, well, and the downside of it is, so our sponsor, Halo Labs, is a U.S. operating company. And Halo is operating in Oregon and California and Nevada. And
which are some pretty good locations.
Oh yeah, no, Halo's, I mean, apart from the fact that obviously they're a client and so we're biased, but I mean, I was following the Halo story, and we chose them as a client long before, you know, any other company. In fact, it took us a year, almost an entire year, to convince them to come aboard. But the reason that I chose Halo to be one of our clients is because they grew their revenue by 300% in the space of like 4 quarters. They've now got Lesotho coming on. There's a deal closing where they're acquiring 100,000 hectare producer.
I was so impressed with the lady. I forget her name, but you had the interview with the lady from
Luisa Mofelo.
She's lovely. So impressed with that.
She's lovely.
That's so empowering.
Yeah. I met a whole bunch of the people from Lesotho there. The deputy prime minister actually invited me to a barbecue there. But I'm looking forward to visiting Lesotho at some point.
Beautiful.
So they've got a lot going on. But the one downside, and this is something that we talk about a lot with U.S. operators, is that they're forced to actually operate a lot like criminals because they have to. They can't bank.
Right.
So they've got operations in Oregon, they've got operations in California. If they have to get cash from California to Oregon, somebody's got to take it.
I can't even imagine how it's done.
Well, but here's the real strange thing about the United States government now, because they have forced this non-banking regime on the legal market, it makes the illegal market so much easier to operate. Because it's like, well, if the legal stuff can't bank, then how do we differentiate who's legitimate and who's not? It's like it's a cash business no matter what. So
that has to happen. I have a feeling it will happen soon, because I remember when the hearing was happening, there was one of the governors that was against it, and then he actually did call this hearing, which was everybody was very happy about, and he did call people to speak who were in favor rather than not so much. So that was a big milestone from what I was reading. So the people that have been kind of against it are getting a little bit more lenient.
Yeah.
So they're coming to their senses. So.
Right. So yeah, that's well, hopefully, yeah. It's as Allison says in our interview a little earlier. You know, it's a monumental task and an evolving business. So we'll see where that gets us. LeafLink announced that it had received $35 million for its cannabis market space, or something that was announced a little later yesterday. LeafLink is a wholesale marketplace for the cannabis industry, and they got $35 million in a Series B round led by Joshua Kushner's Thrive Capital. So that's pretty interesting. Yeah, these are bigger capital deals being done in the U.S. This company's based in New York, and it's going to planning to use the capital for expansion, obviously. Right now has more than 65 employees. So LeafLink, I imagine we're going to see coming to the marketplace here at some point. Have you seen any other early stage stuff that really turns your crank?
Early stage? No, not right now. It's
there's a lot
kind
out
of
there.
A lot going on. There is so much. There's new things coming out all the time.
Yeah.
It is a growing market, very fast growing.
Literally growing market.
Yeah,
I had lunch with Bruce Linton today, and he told me about all of the different things that he's been offered and all the opportunities. Of course, now everybody
wants to know. I had someone even on Twitter today. Please ask James.
Right.
Where is Bruce going? So
well, Bruce is going a few places. Bruce is going to do what.
This is for you, Carol.
What he wants to do. But yeah, he's going to make the most of his newfound fame, and or I guess not really newfound. But now he used to be. I said to him at lunch. I said, you were the hottest commodity on the street that nobody could get to. Now you're the hottest commodity on the street, and you're available. So. And that's why, like, he is uniformly being chased around. But
they need to make more of him.
He probably thinks the same way. I'm sure his family feels that way.
I know. I can only imagine that.
But there's a lot of private companies that are being consumed by public companies now, and this is interesting.
Right.
This is what happens when the market goes soft. Like we've been in the summer doldrums. The prices are drifting. And so that's when investment bankers say, they drive a harder bargain, and guys go, well, why would we do that deal? Let's just stay private. Or let's go find a public company, an already publicly traded company, sell ourselves to them, and we'll have their stock for an exit strategy. So that's so there's a lot of research out there that tracks that, and I've got a chart right now up on my screen that shows the capital raises to date. Now this is courtesy of Viridian Capital Advisors out of New York, and as you can see, the M&A activity slows down in the early part of the year, obviously because the companies are still able to raise capital. But look at the week ending July 19th, there's a total of almost $4 billion raised.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that does look like there are spikes at certain points.
Yeah. But so still a healthy market. It's easy to get the sense in the summer doldrums that the sky is falling and the market is over, and I don't know how many years it's been that we've seen, people start to pull their hair out and sell their stock for too cheap. But among the big deals closed last week, Sentia Wellness was a CBD startup in Portland, Oregon, raised $91 million in debt and equity. And it was founded by former executives at Cura Partners, which is also based in Portland. And then Toronto-based Sol Global increased its stake in Heavenly RX through a $23.9 million investment, bringing its total ownership of the CBD wellness company to 44.53%. Now, Sol Global is, snapping up a lot of companies. That's Andy DiFrancesco's operation. And
they have the Jones Soda.
And well, that's one of the things that you got to keep your eye on that whole situation. Bit controversial, but who in the cannabis space isn't?
Right.
Green Growth Brands closed the acquisition of Florida's Spring Oaks greenhouse in a deal worth $54.6 million last week, and Cannex finished their merger with Forefront Holdings and now are trading under the symbol FFNT. And we were looking at a chart of that a little earlier in the week, and the market does not seem to. Let's take a quick look at FFNT here. Oops, where's my FFNT, Forefront Ventures Corp. And so, it's not up, it's not down, it's trading sideways. 310,000 shares of traded hands, but nothing really spectacular there. And really, upon completion of the merger, the stock, if we look down here, the stock really the market voiced its lack of support through essentially a drop in price. It was trading just below $1.25 before the deal was completed, and now it's trading at 97 cents. Though we are in the summer doldrums, we are in a general sector-wide downturn.
That kind of a time, yeah.
So we'll have to give Josh Rosen and his team a bit of time to demonstrate what they're going to do with the combined entity, and so it'll be interesting.
Well, it's hard to judge because it's only such a young market, right? And a lot of people expect such magical wands everywhere. And it's unless somebody has ran a business before, it's hard to imagine what it's like, right? Because there's so many different roadblocks and so many things. It just takes time, right?
Yeah, for sure. In the cannabis space especially.
Give them some credit.
Yeah, well, in the cannabis space especially, new industry. So never mind just running a business, it's a new industry you've got to navigate. And in the U.S., it's especially problematic with all of the the rules blocking normal commerce.
And it's so interesting because today we were kind of talking on Twitter with some people that one day it's the U.S., oh yes, U.S. stocks, U.S. everything. The next day it's like, oh wait, Canadian are doing better today, right? So it goes up and down between the Canadian or the American, and it's hard to figure out who's really the thing. And I think both have their pluses and their minuses. Like for example, in the States they have better advertising opportunities, right? Because actually I just saw a celebrity on Instagram posting that it was it today? Today, National CBD Day, and she had a truck, and she's apparently driving around in this truck and giving out free samples and things like that, right?
On Instagram.
Yeah, her name, she's from Dish Nation. I could maybe show that for you guys. It's a TV show that makes fun of celebrities kind of thing. So.
Oh, really?
What was her name? My memory, short-term memory is horrible. Horrible.
Mine's non-existent, so we'll make a great team.
But I can find that in a moment, and we could pull that out, because I found that very interesting. And again, here in Canada, we don't have so much opportunity to advertise, right? To brand, to market, and so. There's plus and minus, I guess, to everything. And then they can't bank, and then we can bank a little better.
Yeah, so what was she doing again?
Let me just find it, because I think it will be interesting to get her name here. Maybe they can pull it up. Her name is, so again, National CBD Day, apparently.
National CBD Day. Okay, that's a thing now, is it? Who came up with that idea? That's what I'd like to know.
No idea.
National CBD Day.
I was just scrolling through Instagram, and that's what I saw.
Oh, it's not National COD Day. I've typed in COD. Nothing's going to come. Oh, there it is. 356 posts. Interesting.
Okay, her name is Jenna Page. And she says, my name is Hotbox. I'm a body positive feminist on the prowl. Catch me driving this Thursday for National CBD Day. Post and you'll get 25% off, CBD goodies. Yeah, so that I found that kind of interesting there.
Cool. Yeah, it's funny, the CBD craze has really taken a grip. Do you do CBDs?
I don't, but actually I have a family member, and this is a really beautiful story. I have a family member that's been going through cancer the third time now. And the first couple of times she was very skeptical to a lot of things that, aren't proven and aren't, need proof and all that. But she decided finally to start trying CBD and THC, the oils. And she actually says, you know what, I wish I tried it sooner. So
really?
She feels like she can eat better, she has better appetite, she has a better mood. And from a skeptic, like a complete skeptic, to someone that is actually now saying, you know what, I love this stuff.
Today's
and
National
she's getting
CBD Day.
Great results. She's doing very well right now. Okay. So yeah, it's that one thing that she changed. So I don't know what it could be due to, but it's definitely a positive result. So oftentimes what happens is a lot of people want the proof and want the research, but the research is not that easy to do because there's so much involved. Research takes a lot of time. And but stories like this cannot be overlooked and they can't be discredited. So people should be able to choose whether they want to take CBD or not, and that shouldn't be up to the regulators telling us if we are allowed to or not, right?
I mean, I've been a lifelong consumer of cannabis. Now I do CBD isolate every day, not complete isolate. It has 0.07 milligrams per milliliter of THC, but you need to have some THC to really activate the CBD receptors for the CBD effect. And the CBD effect is, I can say in 100% confidence that they say it's not psychotropic, but I can tell you that it makes you calm. It gives you a very calm state of mind, and it gives you the ability to focus, especially if you're subject to ADD and distraction in today's world full of distractions. And anytime I've cured, I can tell you I've cured hangovers with it, sunburns. So yeah, you just can't argue with it. BDS Analytics predicts that CBD sales will exceed $20 billion by 2024 in the United States, and that's before the FDA actually figures out how to regulate it. But I think you're right. I think really should we let the FDA, the agency that suggested to us that opiates are a reasonable treatment for chronic pain, those are the guys who should be able to tell us what is good for us? I fail to agree with the conventional wisdom that they are qualified to opine on what is good for us, and I further suggest that their interests are not in our health, but rather financially aligned with the healthcare industry.
I saw that firsthand when I was actually sitting at my family doctor one day, and I saw a gentleman that looked extremely serious come in with a black briefcase, and he was very pushy. And from then, when I was listening to his sales pitch to the receptionist at my doctor's office, I was really just, it's very negative. So, and it's a powerful force, right? So we're up against that, but I think the times are changing, the world is changing, and it's changing very fast. And I still cannot imagine that we are here today talking about cannabis, right? And I've been smoking it for a very long time, right? So it's amazing time to be alive, really. Amongst all this negativity that is happening, we have to look at the positive side too, right?
Well,
because in 2 years, we went from illegal to these big companies representing it on the stock exchanges, and there's hundreds of them now. Hundreds of companies came out in a couple of years' time.
And I got busted with a joint when I was 16 years old. And convicted of possession of marijuana for that when I was 16 years old. A situation that has plagued me throughout my life, continues to do so, but one for which I feel like I'm vindicated. But it's like you can't take back the past, and it's fine that it's legal now, but people say, oh, the laws are so tough, and I just think, well, at least you're not worried about getting busted now.
Yeah. So now, please, U.S., let's go. Hurry up.
Sure. Speaking on that note, I had a great conversation with our favorite Allison Gordon.
Yes, the lady of cannabis here in Canada.
She was joining us from, well, I don't know where she was coming in from, but she was here earlier, and I had a conversation with her, and here's that conversation. Allison Gordon joins me now. She's the CEO of 48North Cannabis Corp. Allison, welcome back.
Thanks for having me, James.
You bet. Allison, you've got a big outdoor crop growing somewhere near Brantford, Ontario.
Yes, we do.
Tell me about that.
Okay, it is incredible. You would absolutely die if you saw it, because it is 3.5 million square feet of cannabis growing outdoors. So when you pull up to the farm, it's just like as far as your eye can see, there's just cannabis and weed growing everywhere.
And it's not hemp.
Beautiful. It's not hemp.
It's the real
cannabis.
deal.
It is the real deal.
So this is for a recreational product?
It will be for a recreational product, yes, but obviously it could also be for a medical product in the future if we chose that, yeah.
Okay, so now let's correct the broadly held misconception that you can't grow good weed outdoors in Canada.
Okay, well that is crazy. We grow a lot of things outdoors, do we not? Many
Best
things.
Tomatoes in the world.
Right, we grow grapes for wine, we grow all these things outdoors, so people are gonna see, I think that's part of it, that misconception. So when we start harvesting, and I think now as people drive by, it's funny to watch cars drive by because they sort of slow down as they're going by the farm, because you can see, there's fencing and security, obviously immense amount of it, but it's not barricaded. So people I think are like, oh wow, that does grow outdoors, and it grows tall.
Cool. So are you growing, is it indica sativas?
Yes, there is a mix of indicas and sativas.
Very good. That's as much as we need to know about the particular flavors.
And we have some 2-to-1s on CBD, because CBD is in high demand in Canada. So we're growing some high CBD strains too.
So are you going to make extracts and isolates?
Yes. So probably at least, I would say 80 to 90% of the farm will be used for extraction. And some of it will be used for dried flower, the rest of it, but the bulk of it is for extraction, because that's the nature of the outdoor beast in some ways, but it's also where the market's going. So it's but it's beautiful to see.
So does the ability for you to grow outdoors represent a huge improvement in your whole opportunity?
Yes, and think about it. So we had our 2 indoor facilities that could do about 2,500 kilos each, and we've now converted one of those facilities, the one that's 10 minutes from the farm, to be our post-harvest. So the extraction, the manufacturing of all the products, and those, it's a lot of infrastructure for growing that amount of cannabis at the end of the day. And the costs obviously are significantly more to grow indoor in a greenhouse. Now you take it outside and you're looking at 3.5 million square feet on a farm that cost $1.5 million. Obviously there's some other costs, but in no ways does it count towards an indoor or greenhouse.
Sure. So then what about, I'm just going to run through the misconceptions that people have brought to me. So there's this idea that you will never sell medical cannabis from weed grown outside because birds poo on it.
I have never heard that one. As I said, the bulk of the product is for extraction.
Right.
So you can remediate, you can do what you need to do if you so choose. Everything's obviously lab tested, and I don't really understand that. Interesting. That's an interesting one. I haven't heard that one before.
But could you sell premium dried flower, a cola, off of an outdoor crop? Would it pass Health Canada's rigid inspections?
I believe yes, it would. We are growing organically, which is the other cool thing about our farm, is that it's all organic. So obviously we have to lab test in the same way that you would, and you're looking for the same factors as you would indoors. So it will be awesome.
Wow. So this will be available in cannabis stores across Canada on a recreational basis?
Well, we've already signed supply agreements for the outdoor flower with Quebec, Ontario, and Alberta. So you will be having the outdoor flower in those provinces, which is super exciting.
Yeah, no doubt.
They're very excited to have it.
So do you think that Canada is going to end up being a place where nobody grows indoors because we grow so much great marijuana outside and we've got so much land?
No, I think that the indoor product is a different style of product. I mean, because you're controlling all the variables, the way it looks, the cannabinoid content, it's a more, I hate to say premium, it has shelf appeal, you can play around with it in a different way. So I believe there will be an indoor market for sure, because it's just like there's craft anything, right? But in terms of the fact that, you see in California 70% of sales being the extractable products like vapes, edibles, topicals, supplements, I mean, all of those things, that needs to come from outdoor for it to be cost efficient for everybody to win, including the consumer. And that's where I believe it will go. I mean, we see there's been a few more outdoor licenses in Canada. I think by next year there'll be some more. Like it will go in that direction. It's the only thing that makes sense.
So do you expect to sell everything that you produce on this outdoor project?
Yes, 100%. I do expect to do that because we're still undersupplied in Canada.
Right.
Right.
At what point do you see the undersupply becoming oversupply?
Well, that's an interesting question. I change my mind every day on that, but I definitely think you will see more outdoor next summer, and maybe that post that harvest is where you might see the supply catch up with the demand.
Right.
I mean, obviously there's other factors like how well are the industry doing at bringing people into the legal market, right? And if we have a lot more uptake in the legal market, then the supply will continue to go lower, right? Like meaning that we still need to catch up to that. So it's all a big puzzle.
Yeah. Okay, so 48North Cannabis has been growing both organically, figuratively and metaphorically, as well as through now acquisition more so, and you've just recently completed a strategic investment in Friendly Strangers. Tell me about the thinking behind that. What's that going to achieve for the company as a whole?
So retail is obviously a big part of this business, and it's uncertain what retail looks like in all these provinces, you well know. And the other challenge that we have is that you have very large companies who have a lot of cash on hand who want to own every inch of the vertical. And for us, we really want the opportunity to be able to show up for consumers in the way that we are as 48North, as you would in a grocery store. They buy shelf space or they can do pop-ups or do these things. It's very difficult in our world to do that. So we believe in the Friendly Stranger and Green Acres Brands, who is the large shareholder in that company. They've been in business forever. They know how to run retail, and I think that's one of the big challenges of retail in Canada, especially in Ontario, is that it was a lottery. Everybody could put in, and you could be someone who's never had a job and you won the lottery, right? So retail's not necessarily running as we would like to see it for consumers, but looking at a company like Friendly Stranger with significant retail experience and their plans for expansion and how they plan to engage the consumer was very aligned with us and just authentic, real, and for us, that's where we want to show up. So we were like, let's do it. Let's get in there. Let's be part of the Friendly Stranger family.
Interesting. The whole rollout of the recreational cannabis regime in Canada was fraught with criticism of infrastructure and logistics. I'm just curious, from your perspective as a CEO of a cannabis supplier to that network, have those problems largely ironed themselves out?
Are you talking about at the provincial level for retail and distribution?
Yes.
No. Not 100%, nor and there's no criticism. It's I can't, I've said this before to you, it's not just me kissing ass of government, but it is a monumental task. Think about it, moving into legalization. And then at the provincial level, it's also difficult. So we had a change in government, obviously last year with Doug Ford coming in. We were originally going to be government run like the LCBO. Then, you get a change in government and no, it's not going to be that, which we'd all been meeting and working towards. Yes, we'll do that online, but we're going to go private. And first we're going to award 25 licenses. Well, 25 licenses is a small amount for the province of Ontario. I mean, we have 5 in the GTA. I can't even begin to imagine how many liquor stores we have in the GTA. So of course that creates all sorts of ripple effects for us as suppliers, for the consumer, which then impacts us. So we know that they're going to do another chunk soon. And then, there's rumors about what will happen in 2020, whether it becomes like Alberta, where it's a complete free market, which would be quite interesting, where you sort of, if you meet the parameters, this hasn't been announced, but this is the rumor, you could get the license, and then it's up to you to make a success of it. So it has to grow. Like, distribution and retail needs to grow.
You finished planting your 3.5 million square feet in July.
Yes.
And so is that like you got half a growing season?
No, not at all. First of all, the season was late this year because there was record rain in the spring, right? So many farmers and crops were planting at the same time as us. And we've got the auto flowers, like a percentage of the farm is autos. Those will harvest in the next 2 weeks. And then the rest will come out in early October. So that was always our plan. It's just the veg time maybe was shorter than we had originally anticipated.
Well, I can't wait to see the
I know,
place.
you're gonna just, you can't, like, it's really, really exciting. It changes the whole vibe because it's not, you've been to facilities and ours too, you're studing up, it's like a whole, now it's just a crop, right? And it's just there, and it just feels like, vindication for those of us who have been using cannabis for a long time. It's like, okay, it's just natural.
Right.
It's just here.
Finally, it's free.
It's free. We let it out of the closet. It must be so excited. The little plants are like, free.
I mean, if they could only talk.
If
no,
they
wait,
could only
it's
talk,
probably a good thing they can. All right, Allison, that's a great update. We're going to leave it there for now. I'll come back to you soon. Thank you very much for
Come
coming.
to the farm.
We'll be there in 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
1 week.
Next week?
2 weeks.
I think
No,
we're busy
September
next week.
5th.
Oh, that's when you're coming?
Yes.
I knew that. We'll see you there on September 5th.
Sounds great. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Make sure you never miss a show by subscribing to our YouTube channel and clicking on the little notifications bell. If you're interested in getting monthly actionable investment ideas in the cannabis space to your inbox, subscribe to the newsletter at MidasLetter.com. Quick shout out to our sponsor, Halo Labs. Visit them at halocana.com. Halo has just announced that they have rolled out the XES product, which is a sexual wellness product.
I saw that yesterday
for both
on the
boys
show.
and girls. And I don't really want to say more about it than that at this point. But yeah, Halo is also rolling out a whole bunch of new stuff is coming down the pike with them. They continue to grow revenues and continue to knock it out of the park. The stock is still... I can't say it's a steal at this point because that would make me an analyst, which I'm not, so I can't say that. But I can tell you that as my favorite client, or one of my favorite clients, that I'm very proud to be associated with Halo. You were
Very
saying that there's
innovative.
some earnings coming out next week.
Yeah, I see that it's notable that Medifarm Labs and Valence, so those extraction companies, Medifarm Labs has earnings on the 13th, and you could actually see, I guess, it's ramping up to the earnings, 7% up right now.
Yeah, while the extractors are actually, if you look at the performance of the extraction companies, Valence Grow, Medifarm Labs, Neptune actually has doubled in price in the last month.
Oils did well today. I saw it was before we were looking at the list. Yeah.
So this is the thing. It's like I look at all of the extractors, and none of them are really U.S. centric.
No.
And Halo is the only one that's U.S. centric, and that's why it's like, well, that's why I was excited about them, because they are growing into a multi-state extractor in the United States, of which there are not any that are publicly traded. That I know of anyways.
I see a lot of talk about those dab tabs, and they have some very innovative and unique products.
Yeah, have you tried the dab tabs?
No, I haven't.
Oh, well, tomorrow's Friday. I'm going to bring the Shatterizer to the office,
Beautiful.
and we'll try
Thank
a
you,
dab
Halo.
tab tomorrow.
Nice.
Yeah. Thank you to Halo.
That's
exactly.
exciting.
Let's see what else we got in the world of wonderful world of news. Spectrum Therapeutics has entered into a 5-year service license with Medical Pharmacies Group. That's another Canopy Growth Corporation subsidiary. And yeah, that's amazing. So let's see, next week we're going out to Los Angeles, and I'm going to be coming to you live from our new studio in Los Angeles. And that's not the YouTube. New studio.
Wow.
Yes, where we're going to visit our friend Speedweed, and Speedweed is one of the larger cannabis delivery companies in the greater
cool.
Los Angeles area. And Speedweed is whom we're doing the partnership on the studio with. So that's going to be a thing of beauty. I also am going to be probably looking at a company called Vapn.
Oh, yes, I heard about that
So
one.
VAPN on the CSE. Now, this is a company that does a lot of things, and the thing that attracts me most about this company is the structure. There's like 63 or 4 million shares out. The CEO, the owner, the founder of the company owns 58 million of those, and he can't sell a single one.
Oh, wow.
Without triggering the tax event that makes him taxed on the whole lot of them. So he has said that he's not going to sell his shares until he sells the
Vaping,
company.
yes.
And so that makes it attractive on many levels. Now, they're under the radar. They're based in Arizona. We're going to look into this some more. We're going to send some eyeballs down there and a couple of cameras, and we'll see what we can go. I might stop into Phoenix, Arizona, and visit them on my way down to Los Angeles. But yeah, we're going to
That's
be in
awesome.
LA for the week next week.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, so there'll be like a little West Coast, East Coast vibe sort of dialogue
Yep.
going. That's
Yep.
going to be fun.
From Toronto to LA.
From Toronto to LA. There's the Hall of Flowers event is coming up in next week, next month.
One of those.
Yeah, it's coming up sometime. The Hall of Flowers is one of the most premium business-to-business events in the whole cannabis industry. And the lovely and talented Allison Gordon was kind enough to turn me on to this. September 18th and 19th, 2019. This is like one of the must-attend events if you are a cannabis company with visions of penetrating the cannabis market, visions of penetrating the California market. Boo! Spit it out. But yeah, so if you, I don't think actually the general public's welcome. I think you have to be in the industry, and it's industry only. The next Canna Europa conference is coming up in Barcelona, Spain, also next year. Canna Europa put on a conference in June in London, which was very well attended, and saw a lot of the old faces from the Canadian industry, lots of American players there, a couple of people from the US who I'm going to reconnect with.
Nice.
But yeah, standing room only is basically what it was. So there are going to be, more Cannabis Europa events coming up. And let's see, the next one is in, where did it go? Okay, where is it? London 2019, that's not it.
London,
Gallery
okay.
sponsors, press inquiries, past events, news. Why can't I find this? Anyways,
Well,
the
I
next
hope
one's
one
in...
of the times they will go to Poland, because I'm going to Poland soon, so there better be some movement in that country.
Cannabis Poland.
That'd be
Cannabis
nice.
Polandia.
Yeah. Well, Poland has a very similar population to Canada. So
How many people live in Poland?
I don't know exactly. We could look that up. But I know that it's very close to Canada, but the region, the land, size itself is pretty much the size of Ontario.
Oh, okay.
So lots of population, and a lot of people do smoke the weed, and they're really wanting the legalization. So, but with the current government, it's a little bit of a struggle there. So, because it's a very, very religious government.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Conservative based on religion.
Yeah.
So 38.4 million people live in Poland, so it's got the same size. 312,000 square kilometers, so not as much real estate, and you say that they are moving towards legalization?
Yes, I actually got a call from my friend who has a marketing company down there a couple of weeks ago, and he said CBD, especially right now, is very, very in demand. Extreme demand.
So you can buy and sell CBD in Poland?
I believe so. It's a very tricky situation because the public is not very notified about what's going on, about the laws, but the laws are there. The medical is apparently legal, but nobody really knows about it. You have to really kind of dig in yourself to find out and to be able to attain it. But the CBD is being sold somehow, and he said it's a huge demand. So they really want it, especially the CBD, just because of the legal issues. So the CBD is the most, I guess, law-friendly in that way over there at the moment. So huge demand, he says. So
Wow.
yeah.
Well, exciting. Cool. Well, let's see. Did you see the news on Chiron? Chiron's one of our clients and one of our sponsors, and their announcement today that they have its wholly owned clinic network, the Latin American Institute of Neurology. That was weird. The Neurology and Nervous Systems has partnered with a leading Colombian insurance company to launch a 4-month pilot program that will see it provide medical services to an initial group of 450 patients in Colombia. Yeah, now this is great. This is actual legal medical cannabis now being slowly moved out into the public, and boy, that could be, I mean, that's what everybody's waiting for on Chiron, is waiting for the financials to show market share in Latin America. As soon as that starts to grow, that's when I think, well, that's probably a lot to do with why AltaCorp Capital put out that $6 price target. Which is great. Now, let's take a look at that.
Chiron's quite impressive. I actually tried a little bit of that Kita lotion on my hand, and it smells so good, I have to say. It smells, they got the smell just perfect, beautiful.
Oh, really? Oh, wow, I haven't tried it. I haven't actually checked it out at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, so AltaCorp began coverage of Chiron and put out a $6 price target.
I saw that last week,
and that's, to me, that's the first real institutional vote of confidence in North America that I've seen from for Chiron. And can't say as I'm surprised, but it warms the cockles of my heart. So yeah, Chiron's one you got to keep your eye on.
Yes.
Our other sponsor is, I've got to talk about, is RavenQuest Biomed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There was an interview last week with the gentleman. I saw that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So George is probably one of the most knowledgeable individuals in cannabis that I've ever met. RavenQuest Bio has a real unique value proposition in that they are the owners and growers in the orbital gardens, which in terms of the amount of square footage in your building that you could grow cannabis in is, wow, look at that, we're swinging around. How did you do that?
That was cool.
Wow,
Control room's
look at
awesome,
that.
actually.
Anyways, caught us by surprise.
They're very talented people.
Yeah, but anyways, so George was telling me during our last interview that his cost of production all in is down to 69 cents a gram.
Wow.
Which we're looking at total cost of sales for Kronos is of $3. Not exactly the same metric, but gives you a sense of just how cheaply you can grow it in these orbital gardens, to the point where I am in the earliest stage of negotiating a relationship with him where I am going to install orbital gardens at my farm as soon as the building is completed there for that, and I get the license. Well, actually, so the process now to get the microcultivator license in the Canadian, from the new Health Canada license category called multi-cultivator, which gives you up to 2,000 square meters of grow space.
Oh, okay.
First you have to build it, then they come and inspect it, and then they give you a license if they like what they see. So a number of steps have to go first. Most importantly, first you have to lay out a ton of money and take the risk to build a building which might or might not get licensed.
Yep.
And
well,
so
you got to put it out to the universe, hey.
Well, it's interesting to me because that has really created finally a barricade in the rate at which license were being granted.
Yes.
So, you know, we started this industry by, okay, you got an idea, submit a license application, and we'll incrementally approve it, but you don't need to build your building till you've gotten so far down the line. Now it's like you don't even get to submit your application until you've got your building built, which is good in that it's going to, you know, slow down the amount of production coming online. It's not so good if you're actually trying to get a license and you got to spend all the money yourself.
And you build it, and for some reason, then you got to do the tomatoes again or something like that.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, in my position, I've got access to the brains in the business. So theoretically,
you just got to do it right, and I'm sure they're not going to turn people down. Just, you know, they'll give them a chance to improve it, right? If, for example, something is not complying, then you probably have a chance to improve it, and then they could approve you, no? Or how strict would that be?
Yeah, no, it's well, it's likely 18 months minimum from the time you submit it to the time you approve it. But you know, George and his team have built multiple facilities with multiple orbital gardens, so start there, and I'll build the building according to their specifications, and they've already had several buildings approved. So that, I don't consider that much of a risk.
Yeah.
More of the risk to me is that you build the building, and by the time you build the building and got your license, you've got 15 competitors in a regional area. But I'm not worried about that either, because nobody grows dope better than I do.
I know, yeah. We've seen the big jar on the table. That looked really, really delicious.
Actually, let's see. Do we have time? I've still got my, let's see, where did those go?
And I want to say hi to Compound Interest Stock Guy. He's very active in the chat room. He's a big supporter. So good seeing you. And so many people, familiar names.
All right, Donald.
I'm so glad.
On
Faye,
my NDI
Carl.
right now is my next crop, and those are 4 AC/DC plants. Now, AC/DC is a strain that is famous for having a high level of THC or rather CBD, up to 20%, while still maintaining a pretty skookum level of THC at 8%.
So more CBD in this one.
Yeah, so
Nice.
I'm planning to grow this crop for extracts, and I've got a supercritical CO2 extraction system coming that will enable me to more easily isolate the CBD, and I'm going to be able to create my own CBD oil.
Nice.
I know.
And look at that magic. It appeared.
I know. You just talk about it. Now, is this the CBD?
I told you I could do magic.
We have to get, like, every day you should have a smell of that.
Oh.
Actually, I think we should smoke this. This is actually
It's
the
like
THC.
aromatherapy.
This is this is the skunk number 1, I think.
Actually, this smells amazing.
Did you smoke some?
I did.
And how did it work?
It was good.
What's that?
You know what? I actually like more of a daytime type of smoke. You know what I mean? Like, so the higher in THC would be great, because that way it's not as high in the THC, and then in the daytime you're not going to be all, you know,
goofy.
Yeah.
I hear you. Well,
For
that's
sure.
exactly why
you want to be able to still get your stuff done, right, in the day.
That's the idea. All right. Well, it's 4 o'clock. There's our show for today. Thank you, Nika, Domi, for joining us.
Thank you, James. And thanks,
thank you guys
everyone.
all for watching us. Don't forget to hit the little bell up in the corner.
Click
ding,
like.
ding, ding. Then you'll know when we're online. See you all tomorrow. Thanks for joining.
Bye-bye.